Hey everybody, KC here. So happy Friday. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about a book that a good friend of mine got me. It's called The Baseball 100 by Joe Posnanski. And basically this is his highly opinionated ranking of the 100 top baseball players of all time. And listen, it's all debatable, right? That's one of the wonderful things about baseball is we can debate players on different teams, players of different eras, teams of different eras, and who was the greatest and who was not, and that sort of thing. It's really interesting. His number one player of all time for him, Willie Mays. Number two, Babe Ruth. Number five was a guy named Oscar Charleston. And I gotta be honest with you, I've never heard of Oscar Charleston before, but he played in the Negro Leagues. And he makes a case for why Oscar Charleston actually should be number five. In a lot of ways, he writes, Oscar Charleston was Willie Mays before Willie Mays was Willie Mays. And that's extraordinary. But what I want to talk to you about today is the guy he ranks as number 99. And this is not somebody I would have necessarily thought of as being in the top 100 ball players of all time. And it's a guy named Mike Mussina. Mike Mussina was a pitcher for the Orioles and for the Yankees. And one of the things he writes about with Mike Mussina is that he was a stats geek who didn't play for stats, a New York Yankee who loathed attention, a pitcher who finished top 6 in the Cy Young voting 9 times, but never won the thing, a starter who took 5 no-hitters into the 8th inning, but never threw a no-hitter, a guy who won 20 games for the first time as a 39-year-old and promptly retired rather than go for 300 victories. He finished with 270. He made it to the Hall of Fame despite a bold unwillingness to do anything extra to improve his chances of making it to the Hall of Fame. And the point he makes about Mike Mussina is, whenever you looked at a picture of Mike Mussina, he was almost always scowling. He had no interest in the fame part of baseball. He had no interest in the celebrity part of baseball. He was interested in going out and throwing the best possible game he could. And the rest of it, he was completely uninterested in. The only time he ever really came out of that frown-like shell was when he was back home during the off-season, because there he could just be Mike. When he was playing, other things were demanded of him, and he had no interest in putting in his own personality or his own desires above the game. And I think that's a really important business lesson, right? One of the things that great leaders do in any situation is they understand that they have to, sometimes assume their own desires and their own interests to those of the broader team. That's what great CEOs do. It's what great business leaders do. And I never would have thought of Mike Mussina in those terms, but he makes a really good case for it. And I think he's an excellent example of leadership by example, as opposed to leadership through just talking. Anyway, this is a very thick book. I have a lot more to read. And the great thing is you can pick up a chapter here, a chapter there. It doesn't really matter. I may take me all summer to get to this thing, but it's fabulous. It's called The Baseball 100 by Joe Posnanski. I hope you have a great weekend. That's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.